I had hypnotized myself into such a state of confidence.
The stuff we did and the amount of days where we realized the scene wasn't going to work, most guys have a Tony Stark aspect, whether it's all fantasy. For me, the billionaire, I am Iron Man. Our audience relates to that, and it's what helped drove the success, so we're running with it.
Hollywood didn't wait for Downey to fail again. They had already decided he was finished, not because of talent, because insurance companies said no. That's the detail most people never hear. Hollywood didn't wait for a comeback. It quietly wrote Robert Downey Jr. out of the industry before the story could change. Not because the talent was gone, but because insurance companies decided the risk was too high. When that happens, careers don't crash publicly, they disappear privately. This isn't the story of Iron Man's rise. It's the story of how close Robert Downey Jr. came to never being allowed back, and why one role became his final chance to exist at all. Robert Downey Jr. became Iron Man. Hollywood had already decided how his story ended. And it wasn't heroic. He wasn't just labeled troubled, he was labeled uninsurable. That word quietly kills careers, not dramatically, not loudly, just permanently. Everyone knew he was gifted. Directors said it, actors admired it, critics praised it. Downey had timing you can't teach, charm you can't fake, and a presence that pulled the camera toward him. But none of that mattered anymore. Talent doesn't mean much when studios think you're a risk waiting to explode. By the early 2000s, his name didn't spark excitement. It sparked meetings, legal talks, insurance calls. Missed call times turned into missed opportunities. Court dates replaced premieres. Headlines followed him everywhere, and none of them were kind. Casting conversations stopped being hopeful. They became cautious, then cynical. Will he show up? Will he finish? Will this production survive him? Downey moved in and out of rehab while Hollywood quietly moved on without him. Roles disappeared. Even people who cared about him hesitated to recommend him, not out of judgment, but fear. Most actors who fall this far don't climb back. They become warnings, stories told to younger performers about what not to become. That's exactly where Downey was headed. Until one role showed up that didn't need a perfect man. It needed a broken one. When Marvel started developing Iron Man, nobody thought history was being made. There was no Marvel Cinematic Universe, no master plan, no guarantee anyone would even care. Marvel itself was fresh out of financial trouble and gambling on characters most people couldn't name. Iron Man wasn't Spider-Man. He wasn't Batman. He was a niche comic hero known mainly to die-hard fans. This movie wasn't meant to launch an empire. It was meant to answer a simple question. Can Marvel survive on its own? Budgets were cautious. Expectations were lower. Every decision felt like walking on thin ice. And the biggest decision of all was casting Tony Stark. The studio wanted safe, polished, predictable. Jon Favreau wanted honest. While executives searched for dependable names, Favreau saw something else entirely. He saw that Tony Stark wasn't supposed to feel safe. Stark was arrogant, reckless, brilliant, and self-destructive. A man who hides damage behind intelligence and humor. Favreau didn't see Downey's past as baggage. He saw it as experience. And that terrified everyone else. Tony Stark was not a traditional hero, and neither was the actor chosen to play him. Stark wasn't noble or grounded. He didn't inspire trust. He was impulsive, addicted to excess, and dangerously intelligent. Marvel executives worried audiences would reject him. They worried Downey would fall apart. They worried the gamble would collapse the entire film. So they protected themselves. Downey was made to audition again and again, even when Favreau was already convinced. His salary was modest, especially for a lead. Insurance policies hovered over the production like a shadow. If something went wrong, Marvel wanted an exit. On set, eyes followed him constantly, not out of malice, out of fear. Every day he showed up on time mattered. Every finished scene felt like progress. This wasn't framed as redemption yet. There were no hopeful articles or comeback narratives. This was pressure. Downey knew it too. He understood that this wasn't a second chance. It was the last one. If he failed here, there would be no more arguments in his favor. No more directors willing to fight for him. Iron Man wasn't a role. It was probation in front of the world. Then the cameras rolled, and almost immediately something changed. Downey didn't play Tony Stark like a superhero. He played him like a man pretending he wasn't hurt. He used humor as armor. confidence as camouflage, intelligence as control. He started improvising, not to show off, but to make the scenes breathe. Stiff lines turned conversational. Sarcasm replaced polish. Vulnerability slipped through jokes when you least expected it. The crew noticed first. Scenes that were supposed to be simple suddenly felt alive. Editors realized the unscripted moments were the ones audiences would remember. Favreau leaned into it. Marvel slowly loosened its grip. Tony Stark stopped feeling like a character. He felt like someone you knew. Downey wasn't acting a redemption arc. He was reliving one. The pain under the humor wasn't imagined. It was remembered. Iron Man wasn't being performed. It was being inhabited. And that kind of truth can't be manufactured. When Iron Man released in 2008, the industry didn't just react. It recalibrated. Audiences didn't just like Tony Stark. They trusted him. They laughed with him. They recognized his flaws. His arrogance didn't push people away. It pulled them closer. The movie worked because it didn't feel like a superhero origin story. It felt like a man trying to fix himself and failing, then trying again. Tony Stark didn't become a hero by gaining power. He became one by taking responsibility. Downey grounded every moment. When Stark changed, it felt earned, because Downey knew what starting over really feels like. Marvel didn't just get a hit. They built something deeper without realizing it. Iron Man wasn't spectacle first. It was honesty first. As the MCU grew, Downey became its center of gravity. New heroes arrived. Bigger battles followed. But Iron Man held it together. His presence made the universe feel human. His humor cut tension. His flaws gave weight to every conflict. By the time Avengers Endgame arrived, Downey wasn't just another actor in a franchise. He was the emotional spine of it. When Tony Stark died, people didn't cry because a superhero fell. They cried because they watched a man finish a journey that began in selfishness and ended in sacrifice. Marvel didn't just lose a character. They lost something irreplaceable. Robert Downey Jr. didn't become Iron Man for fame or box office numbers. He became Iron Man because the role offered something rarer than success. It offered earned redemption. For years, he had been defined by his mistakes, broken trust, burned bridges, promises he couldn't keep. He had been told, directly and indirectly, that some versions of yourself don't come back. Tony Stark proved otherwise. Stark was admired but not fully trusted. Brilliant, reckless, charming, deeply flawed. That wasn't acting for Downey. That was memory. Every joke carried survival. Every vulnerable moment carried fear. When Stark fought to become better, it wasn't scripted hope. It was lived experience. Iron Man didn't give Downey a career. It gave him dignity. The suit didn't turn him into a hero. It reflected the one he fought to become. And that's why Iron Man will never truly belong to anyone else. Hollywood didn't save Robert Downey Jr., it almost erased him. One role didn't change his life because it was big. It changed his life because it was honest. Because it didn't ask him to pretend he was fixed. It asked him to show up anyway. That's why Iron Man worked. Not because of the suit, because the man inside it had already survived his ending once. Now I want to hear from you. Do you think anyone else could have carried Iron Man the same way? Or was this role always meant for him alone? Say it in the comments. And if you like stories that go deeper than headlines, fame, or box office numbers, subscribe to America Thrived here. Because some legends aren't built by success. They're built by the moment everything almost disappeared.